And with the COVID era came a huge influx of golfers. And I think with this huge influx of golfers, not only, I mean, yes, it changed golf as we know it forever. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad. I think with this big influx of golfers, etiquette kind of went out the window. And content creating with golf also had a huge jump 5 years ago. And I think a lot of these content creators that they watch, they see them having fun on the golf course. And just a disclaimer, I'm not against having fun on the golf course whatsoever. But it comes to a point where you have to not put your own interests above everyone else's. There's still other people on the golf course that paid the same amount of money as you that are also there for the same goal, and that's to have fun. And when people get rowdy and obnoxious and aren't considerate of others, then that's where you get these problems and create these issues and make it not fun and enjoyable for other people. So obviously it's hard to pertain to everybody. Everybody's different. But understanding that fine line, I think, would help out a lot of these golfers that don't really have a clue of etiquette.
Yeah, you avoid the hockey fights out on the golf course.
And that's so funny you mentioned that, because I was talking to my friend. There are so many more fights you see online on the golf course nowadays. It's incredible.
Never saw one in person in my life.
And that's concerning. That's concerning.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to question, what the integrity of the game will look like in the next 10 years. We're seeing all these trends and stuff, and the big influx of golfers, like you said, 13 million. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of new golfers.
Welcome to Club Fitting Chronicles.
So, we arrive at the golf course. What things do we need to know from an etiquette standpoint, since you're one of the persons that are going to greet them?
Well, I want to say the biggest one for me, personally, is making sure that everyone's dressed properly and has their own set of golf clubs. You see a lot of people that show up and they're trying to share, one set of clubs for 4 people. We don't have any other clubs. Sometimes I hear, well, we're from out of town, and da-da-da. And that's fine. If you're from out of town, we'll get you rental sets. That's fine, and some people, they expect that. But the ones who, my buddy, he didn't want to get any golf clubs, didn't want any rental clubs, didn't want to pay for them. Well, see, that's the issue. Everybody has to have their own set of golf clubs, because when you're driving from ball to ball, you and your buddy are sharing golf clubs, but you're not sharing the same hits off the tee or approach shots. You guys are hitting it 2 different directions, playing 2 different balls, and it just slows things down. And for the people who are playing with them, that's also disrespectful to them, because they don't want to wait. I mean, everybody that's out there nowadays, I feel, wants to play super quick. That's just kind of a no-go for some of those people that want to play golf as fast as they can, which you can only play as fast as the group in front of you anyway. But still, I mean, it just drags. When people do that, it's just kind of annoying. But that's one of the top 2 things that I look for, really, is if you're wearing the right attire and you have your own set of clubs. I don't care if you're 15 handicap, a 30 handicap, or a scratch golfer. Right. If you show up into my shop and you look like, a mess, I'm going to tell you, hey, you need to wear proper golf attire. And if you're from out of town, that's fine. Some people say, oh, well, sorry, I didn't have an extra set of clothes and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to make them buy clothes from the golf shop. There's exceptions. There's ways around rules and working with people. But for the guys that, constantly golf in jeans and stuff, and they're comfortable and they're having a good time, if you go to a country club or anything like that, you're going to get harped big time.
Yep.
I mean, people
or
are
any
not going
place
to
where that's charging you a good amount of money.
100%.
Things I get frustrated with, people not showing up 20 minutes before their tee time, arriving at, they have a 1 o'clock tee time, and they come running up to the tee as we've already been put up there because the group in front of us hasn't shown up. Mm-hmm. And then they come running up, we're here. And then they take, another 20 minutes to loosen up on the tee box.
Right.
And now everyone's behind.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people, they think their tee time is when they show up to the golf course. I always use the airport analogy. Hey, would you show up to the airport for your 7 o'clock flight at 7 o'clock? No, you'd show up way early and you make sure that you get all your, things in check. The golf course is the same exact way.
Yep.
You're not the only one who wants to golf. There's
Yep.
hundreds of other, in the season, there's
Right.
250 plus golfers that want to play golf that day. And if you can't squeeze it into your schedule or manage your time properly, don't play. Sorry. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. A lot of people would disagree because I know a lot of people that show up to the tee last second and, they want to argue it. Well, what's the point? I'm not going to warm up. Well, if you don't warm up, then when you get to the tee, hit your ball. Don't take any more time. Don't take 6 or 7 practice swings or, do these little dynamic stretches for 5 minutes on the tee while people are waiting on you. It's disrespectful. It's rude.
Yep. Or in a lot of cases, there's 5 other people in front of you to pay. So you sit there longer. The other thing that drives me nuts, and it doesn't drive me nuts, I just don't understand, is when they have an 11 o'clock tee time, it's 10:45, they're checking in. Can I get a large bucket of balls? What are you going to do with 120 golf balls?
Yeah, and 10
and
minutes
it's
really.
Take you 5 minutes to get to the range.
Right.
And if you happen to hit 120 golf balls, those are the guys that I've played with before. And by about the 9th hole, what are they talking about? I'm tired. I got blisters. Well, of course you do. You already played 54 holes before you started.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So the other thing,
the
and I didn't write this down, I don't know if you've had this happen to you, is it's happened to me because a lot of times I'm a single and I'll go, and I'll book myself into a spot where maybe there were 3 golfers and I become their 4th. And then you show up at the golf course and I'm, on the putting green, I'm practicing and I hear, Mr. Bach, Mr. J. Bach, please come to the pro shop. Mr. Bach, please come to the pro shop. And I walk over there and the group that I put myself in 2 weeks ago showed up with a 4th. And they were having a hissy fit. Why can't he play with us? And what happens to me? Oh, I get moved back 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you book 3, bring 3 with you.
Yeah.
Total. If you book 2, bring 2. Don't assume, call first, but don't assume that, especially in Arizona in the winter months, that tee time is still available. Because a lot of times it's people like me who have that time, and I book that time with I have maybe a timeline that I can only play in. And now I'm going to have to sit there and I have to wait for there to be another opening.
Yeah, see, that's just that. In my opinion, that just falls on the golf shop at that point because everybody has a right to their tee time.
Right.
Everybody. And
and
if
most
this
of
group
the time
showed
it
up with, I could see, that when it happens, sure, but if both parties are all right with it, then that's one thing. But if you ask, a gentleman, if you were to say no. Then
well, now I'm stuck with the other 3 for the rest of the day.
Exactly. So
and that's going to work out well.
Yeah, it's just that there just makes everything difficult. Everything difficult for sure.
Okay, so now we got to the tee. What are some of the things that we need people to understand on the tee?
They need to finish teeing off at the time their tee time is. That's when the last ball should be in the air is on their tee time. And I hate being this guy because I see constant posts online about, the guys inside the shop or the marshal or the starter, they're pricks. They're, they don't have a nice bone in their body. They're always, because, you're teeing off at 7 o'clock and here we are 7:05 and you haven't even hit the 3rd tee shot yet. Courses fix problems like that when they put out like 10 to 11 minute interval tee times. But even then, you're still going to get that one group of 4 guys. You're going to show up last minute. It always happens. It never fails to surprise me. But I think that's one of the things I really get on people about is making sure that they tee off at that time. And that's why I always use the airport analogy because it makes people understand a little bit more. And I give people grace and I give people the benefit of the doubt. It's not like I go right up to them and say, hey, you need to tee off. It's no, hey guys, just let you know your tee time is right now. They're out of your reach. You're good to hit the ball. And 90% of the time, I would say 95% of the time, I rarely get people who are, upset at me telling them that. But you get the handful of people that, well, I paid money for this tee time. Okay, well, so did the people right behind you waiting to tee off.
Yep.
And, once you say that, then they really don't have anything else to say. But I would say that is the most important thing that I look for.
Yep. Things that drive me, frustrate me. I'm getting ready to hit my ball, and somebody starts a conversation like 8 feet from me,
Oh,
or they're moving around, and you hear the whoosh, whoosh. And from my perspective as the golfer, I don't want to hit you.
right.
And I don't know where you're at when you're
Right.
swinging. I had a good kid who worked in the pro shop and was playing college golf with a guy who worked for me and helped build a lot of clubs. He was blind in one eye. He got nailed in the eye by a backswing. And I don't want to be that person.
Right.
I don't want to have to live with that so, stay back, stay quiet, don't be dancing, moving around. Those are things that are just, I appreciate when people are, if they're back there, they're watching, each other's shots. I see a lot of times where, nobody's watching, and then the guy goes, did anyone see that? See what?
Right.
No, you're supposed to be helping each other.
Right.
Lately at Las Colinas, we have somebody, the mad divoter. There are times when Bill and I will fix 3 or 4 divots on each tee box, like number 1. And they're not little divots. They're, you use half the bottle to fill the divot.
Right.
And they're on every tee box. It's like the goal on a practice swing isn't to see how much earth you can remove.
I always used to say this: if you make a divot from the back tees or whatever tees you're from,
You should be up forward.
you should be forward. You should always move up one. And I say that out of love, because you're only making it harder for yourself. And I promise you, the further up you play, just swallow your pride, swallow your ego, understand it. The shorter courses you play in the beginning,
More fun you'll have.
the more fun you'll have, the more you'll practice, the more you'll be out there and actually want to hit certain shots. It just makes everything better.
Yep.
And a lot of these guys, they punish themselves they challenge themselves. I won't even say punish. I'll just say they challenge themselves. And they want to go out there and they want to play from the tips, or they want to play from a certain yardage and give themselves a challenge. But the fact of the matter is, some of these guys, they're just not good enough.
Bill played with a gentleman the other day, broke 100 for the first time at Las Colinas. So what did he do? Going to play from the blues now.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I look, people need to understand this with high handicap golfers in general. Everybody's there to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not playing in a tournament, you're not playing competitively, you're playing for money, you're really playing for fun.
Right.
And I mean, not saying you can't have fun doing those things or play for fun doing those things too. But it's just different, right? It's a different atmosphere and different mindset. You don't have to go to the course and act like you're in a tournament. You don't have to do that. Just remember, that's optional. You don't have to treat it like a tournament. You go out there and just treat it like a fun day out.
Yeah,
Not even worry about where the ball goes. And guess what? Your expectations are lower. And with lower expectations, you play better.
So other things, first tee, breakfast burrito ball. I can live with that occasionally. But when it's every tee box,
yeah, no thanks.
yeah, it's not the driving range. It's a tee box. And so a lot of times I was playing out there a couple weeks ago, and a guy had hit 9 extra tee shots by the 5th hole. And it was, and they were, dribbling it over here, dribbling over. And of course he has to go and gather up the balls, and you can't take the cart to where he was hitting the balls. So then he's having to walk because he wasn't going to run over and sitting there waiting. And pretty soon you could see the group in front of them were leaving the green, and he hasn't gotten up, they haven't gotten to their balls yet. And we're already half a hole behind. And it's 106 degrees.
Right.
And it's like, come on.
Right.
Big thing, and you mentioned it, playing from the proper tees. There are so many, I went to the USGA, And you have that information.
Are those recommended from USGA?
Those are recommended distances that you should
I
never
love
play.
that.
So if you can drive the ball regularly, not once in a lifetime, over 300 yards, that would mean if it's a 400-yard hole, you are hitting less than 100 yards in, because a lot of people don't know how far they hit the ball. You can play a 7,100 to 7,400 yard course and survive it. But if you're hitting it only 250 or 275, you should be playing 67 to 6,900. It shouldn't be any longer than that. If you're hitting it 250 off the tee, 62 to 6,400, 5,800 to 6,000, If you only hit a tee shot 200 yards, 52 to 5,400.
And mind you, these are balls that are straight into the fairway.
Right.
This isn't 300 that hits the cart path and goes back into the rough. This is numbers that are into the fairway. So we're going to assume that these are relatively good golfers.
Right. Yeah. And the point is, touring pros don't go into most par fours on the golf course with their 3-wood. But I watch people all day long hitting fairway woods on 350-yard holes. Why? Because they hit their tee shot 150 yards and they have 200 yards left, and then they have a wedge in from wherever that goes. It can't be fun when I'm struggling to get to the green in par.
Right.
And again, golf is supposed to be fun. The average, what they figured when they came up with those numbers. And again, it's a little bit, it depends. How long are the par threes? How long are the par fives? Sometimes, you'll get a golf course where the par threes are all playing 170 yards.
Sure.
Okay. That's going to, probably, that is adding to the distance of the golf course. But sometimes that's not the issue. But nobody should be hitting fairway woods repeatedly on par fours for second shots.
Yeah.
Not if you're playing from the proper tees.
Yeah. No, that's
it should be most of the time you should be hitting no more than a 6-iron on most par. Now, like Las Colinas, number 4, I'm hitting my 3-iron or my 3 hybrid, which is my equivalent to my 4-iron loft. That's a 400-yard hole. But most of the time, I'm not pulling out more than a 6-iron on most holes, unless they're, 390 or above. Then I might need to pull out my 5-iron, or I might need to pull out my 4-iron 3 hybrid. But I should be playing where I have a legitimate chance to reach the green in 2.
Yep.
I see so many people, and Las Colinas, I don't understand. Years ago, they had the red tees, and they were up a lot further than where they are now with the yellows.
Yeah.
Because I watch a lot, you watch a lot of women golfers. They hit their tee ball 120 yards.
Right. So
the hole was only 310 yards from where they're teeing off. And now they only have 190 in. And then they might have 100 in on the next shot. And then they might have 20 in on the next shot. And then they chip onto the green and they're already on in 4.
So the first hole at Mountain Brook, right?
Oh, yeah.
So kind of similar thing. Hole number 1 at Mountain Brook, for those of you who don't know, there's a tree on the left side, just left of the fairway. It's in line with some bunkers, and it's a dogleg left, a slight dogleg left. So from the back tee, if you were to bomb it, so for me, a bomb is like 300 plus. For me, I usually take it over the tree, cut the corner with a drop, because I know I could carry that. It's a 274 carry. I can carry that tree, and I'll be okay. Okay? I'm not the greatest golfer. I'm not the best golfer by any means, but I am above average. I'm an above average golfer, and I hit the ball decently far. And I see some of these guys that are maybe an 8-9 handicap, which is nothing to disrespect by any means. That's a really good handicap for a lot of people. And respectable. But they play from the tips, and they don't hit it past 250.
Right.
And they're waiting for the group in the fairway that's past the tree. So if the tree is 274 and they're already past the tree, and you're not going to hit it that far, go ahead and hit it. Go ahead and hit. And I see that all the time. And that's people being considerate. They don't want to hit into the group in front of them. That's fine. But just remember, if you know that you can't hit it to a certain point and they're past that point by 30 yards plus, you're fine to hit.
Yeah, because
because
you're not sailing it to the 250
no,
mark.
you're assuming you're going to
up.
carry it. Right. You're assuming you're going to carry it to them.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're just going to roll up on them if you make it there. But
most people who hit the ball 250, the ball's in the air 225.
right. And people don't understand that. People don't.
Right.
They think that number is just purely carry. And for some people, that is. And that also goes into having the wrong technology, which if Gene was there, he'd help you out with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see that all the time. People, they don't know how far out certain things are, their targets. They don't pay attention to that. They just kind of see a field and they're like, I'm going to hit it in this field. Oh, they look like they're within reach. Okay, looking like they're within reach and being within reach are two different things.
And a lot of the golf courses, you have your screen on your cart, GPS, and a lot of them you can put a finger at that sand trap and see how far it is.
True.
Or you have one of those things that you maybe can spy out and
what are those called? A rangefinder?
Rangefinder.
I think there's something. They're important to golf in some way. I don't know.
And you can find out how far is that,
Right.
But it's just, the other thing, playing ready golf.
Yes.
Bill and I, we should make a movie because Bill usually will be a little bit left or right of center. I'm usually in the center. Bill will usually hit the ball a little further than me on most good days. So I get dropped off at my ball. I know he gives me the distance as I'm going back to pull the club, and I pretty much know what club I need already. He gives me the distance. He drives over to his ball. I hit my shot. I start walking over to the cart. He hits his shot. I may have put my club in the bag. I may not have if he was already ready. Maybe he was 30 yards away and he hit his shot and he's in the cart ready to go. If he's in the cart ready to go, I jump into the cart. I'm holding my club. We get up to wherever our next shot is from. Generally, it's on the green. I put my club away now and grab my putter and off we go. Right. Rather than sitting back there and trying to stuff the club in or get the head cover. That takes an extra 15 seconds. Well, you do that 35 times.
Right.
That takes a lot of time up. Yeah. But being ready when it's your turn to play. Now, don't hit if there's a guy 10 yards in front of you.
Right.
Directly on line with the flag. Right. That's a different story.
Right.
But you don't. The other day we're playing. And we're watching a guy, he's on the left side of the fairway, 150 yards out. He pulls up to his ball, he stands there, figures out what he needs, 20 seconds, 30 seconds later, he's getting ready, takes 4 practice swings, gets ready to hits his ball, okay, ball's off. Where's his partner? Still sitting in the cart. Where's his ball? Well, it's 150 yards out, but it's 15 yards to the left of him.
Right.
So now we have to drive over to his ball, and what are we going? We're going to go through that same process. Well, again, you do that every time. That adds 15 minutes to the round of golf.
Yeah.
And that's, again, you're forcing other people to wait because you aren't ready to play when it's your turn.
Right.
So,
and I just want to add to that too. Proper etiquette in competitive tournaments. Whoever is away.
Right. Yes.
Whoever is away.
Totally different.
We're not saying that that's not the rule. That is definitely the rule. That is definitely the proper way of going about things. But let's take, for example, Saturday morning. You guys are out there for fun, having a good time. If your buddy's over on the left side of the fairway and you're over there right by the houses, you want to know what you do? You grab your rangefinder or try and figure out the distance some way. Grab the clubs you hit that distance, or you can hit a shot from wherever you are. Take them with you and walk. Some people are, and I'm not saying, everyone is healthy enough to do that. There are people who play golf that are, are physically unable to do that. And that's different, and that's an exception.
Correct.
But when I see people drive up to a ball, I wait for them to hit the ball, and then they drive backwards, and then their buddy hits the ball, that drives me insane. I can't tell you how much that drives me insane, because that just tells me you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. And both of you guys were there when you were waiting and hitting that shot. You very easily could have let his buddy do the thing, hit the golf ball while he was setting up and hitting his golf ball back wherever he was. But I see that so many times, and I wish that would just be eradicated, because there's been times where I've almost hit people. Because I think
you're not expecting them to come backwards.
I think they're out of my way.
Right.
Gene, you've played with me where I've hit into people because of that.
Exactly.
I fit into people because of that, and it just causes issues. It not only frustrates the person hitting the ball,
Right.
it also frustrates the people that are getting hit by a ball. You
Right.
know, and I'm not intentionally trying to hit you. You
No.
drove back, and then it
Right.
just causes confrontation.
They were 20
for no
yards
reason.
past where you can go.
Right.
And they get into the cart. So
Right.
they're going to be 30 yards past where you can go in a second. And then you're setting up and you're no longer looking down the fairway. And they make a U-ey.
Right. I call it
And now
squirrely
they're
golf.
40 yards inside of where you can reach.
I call it squirrely golf. That's what I call it. But yeah, I see that a lot.
So other second shot things, fill your divots. Today, on one hole, I think I filled like 12 divots within a 10-foot area of where my golf ball was.
I could see that.
It's like, come on, guys. I know they're not out there walking when it's 110 degrees.
Right.
And the carts come with sand. Fill the divots.
Right.
Practice swings. We were playing the other day. Guy tees off from the blue tees at Las Colinas, number 1. Hits his ball to where the garbage can is by the white tees. That's his
nice.
ball. Then he hits his ball out of the new shrubbery there, and he gets it about halfway to the fairway. Then he standing out there, and we could see the group in front of him, and the group in front of them were no longer visible, which tells me they got to be out past the sand trap. So they're 380 yards away?
About. Yeah.
Yeah. He's taking 12 practice swings, waiting.
Oh, he's waiting.
For the green to clear. And then he hits his shot and walks up 20 yards and takes 5 more practice swings and then hits his next shot. And it's like, okay, what are you doing, first of all, from the blue tees, from the back tees? Number 2,
why wait for the green to clear when you're going to top the ball 25 feet?
Right. Well, when you're 380 yards out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And you have an iron in your hand.
That too.
So,
that too.
The other thing, it's not the driving range. I watch people, they hit one. If there's nobody behind you, wonderful. If you want to drop the second ball, go at it. But if there's somebody waiting behind you, drop the second ball and try that. And then drop a third ball and try that. Keep moving, And don't then leave all 3 divots there.
It's just one thing after another.
Exactly. The other thing, and I know this is something that happens out at Mountain Brook too, and I know it happens every other golf course because I see it. If the cart's not supposed to go there, don't take the cart there. There's a reason why.
Yes. I can't tell you the amount of carts that have come in with broken axles and popped tires. Yeah, because it's a desert course. There's big rocks, there's boulders, there's cactuses, there's everything that's in a desert. It's there. It's a desert. Just because there's grass in other places, like a fairway, doesn't mean it's not still a desert. So these people, they like wandering and they like going in areas because they hit their ball there, and that's fine. I'm not judging these people for playing bad golf. It's the fact that you still drive over there when it blatantly says, clear as day, that you're not supposed to go over there.
Yep.
And then they end up jumping over a boulder or, driving over a rock, and it snaps the axle. And then the whole day's ruined because now they got to pay for the cart, the damages, and all this stuff. And then the rest of the round
and then everybody else is waiting there for them
for them to get rescued.
Right.
Yes. And I've rescued plenty of people.
Or I've been out on the golf course and I've watched people drive over the green.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Or when they park right on the tee box. That's another thing, too.
Right.
They park right on the tee box. And the cart paths at Mountain Brook are relatively close to every tee box and every green to make it accessible for the people who play there that are handicapped and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
These guys still take it on the tee box. On the tee box. And this guy, I remember telling this guy, I said, hey, you can't park there. And he said, well, I have back issues. I can't walk here. And I said, well, sir, the cart path and where you're parked, 2 feet. It's a 2-foot difference. It's not going to make it any faster or any easier. It's the same exact walk. It's just 2 more feet. And it just comes to a point where it's like, really? I don't understand it. But the one that gets me the most, too, is when they're parked right next to the green, up against, by the fringe.
Right. In between the fringe and the sand trap.
Right. That is, yes. Yeah, I think you know which hole I'm talking about. We see it at Colinas all the time. And, that's why when they put those shrubs there behind hole number 7, I was so glad, because there's so many people, that would just drive up next to the green and then drive over that dirt over there, that dirt area, and it just got so torn up. It not only is disrespecting the golf course rules, but you're also putting traffic on areas that don't need any traffic and end up killing things like grass or plants, and that's just not cool.
Let's go to the greens.
My favorite one.
Ball marks. You don't lift the grass. You go to the backside where if the ball comes in this way,
push it in
the backside and push it back.
Right.
And then you can go to the other sides.
Work with the grain.
Down. Exactly. Yep. You don't lift it up and rip the roots out of the ground.
Yep.
And if a piece of grass breaks off, and just fix the ball mark, the grass will grow back in a little bit. If you don't fix it immediately, it's a sore on the green.
Yep.
If you fix it within the first 24 hours, the green will heal naturally very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been times when I've gone in and told Dawson that he owes me 25 cents a ball mark, and I fixed 112 of them today.
Wow.
Because I'll count them.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's, it's a winter thing out here, but it's, par threes, there's ball marks everywhere, and you hit, you're 20 feet away. I fixed all the ball marks around me, and I find, in fact, today, Bill hit a ball mark, and it stopped his ball.
Yeah, I had one that happened to me, too. I played at Colinas today, too, and I had a chip, and I landed it. And I saw it, too. And I was so antsy, because I wanted to get done with the hole so bad that I was like, oh, that's there. I'm not going to land it there. I'm going to land it around that area. What do?
Right.
I'd land it right on top of it. What does it do? Kicks straight up and then bounces left, goes left. And then here I am with a 10-foot putt. So, I mean, a little bit user error, but at the same time, I should have fixed it to begin with. Yeah. But why do I have to fix it if it wasn't mine? Because it wasn't mine. It wasn't my approach shot. My approach shot was off the green in another spot. That wasn't mine.
I try to be an example. I'm the 67-year-old guy fixing the ball marks, and the 22-year-old kids are looking at me. What are you doing? Fixing ball marks. Why?
It's become a part of my routine now.
Yeah.
When I putt and other people are putting, because
I'm fixing ball marks.
I'm a fast golfer. For those of you who don't know, I'm a fast golfer. My brain runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour, so I dread it when people are slow. And I have to wait on other people, especially in a tournament, because I have no choice. I have to be there. I have to stay there. So I've made it a part of my routine to fix pitch marks so it could kill some time. I do it to kill time.
Yep. But also it saves the golf course, because who wants to play on those greens when they're all brown? They got brown spots everywhere.
Not me.
And it's lumpy.
Not me.
Ball marks are marking your ball.
Yes.
We played behind the women's league last year, and there was a case many times where they marked their ball 30 or 15 times in a foursome on one hole. Nobody was near each other. I'm 10 feet right of the flag. You're 10 feet left of the flag. We both mark our balls. Well, why? It wasn't that they were cleaning it. That was their second putt.
Yeah.
And somebody else is 5 feet, above the hole, and somebody else is, 5 feet below the hole. Well, we're marking our balls. We're not in danger of being hit.
Right.
And then it's, oh, come on, and then it's trying to find, where did my ball mark go? Mark your ball if you're in somebody's way.
Yeah.
Mark your ball if you need to clean your ball.
Right.
But you don't need to mark your ball every single time that you walk up to the green.
Right.
And you should be reading your putt if you're not standing in somebody's line, if you're not, either their through line or directly behind them. Don't stand directly behind somebody unless you've asked them, is it okay if I stand directly behind you? Because that's bothersome, especially if you're moving around. You stand off to the side. You can move in after they've hit their putt, if you're on, check the break. But read your putt, because that was the other thing that we would see in all kinds of different groups. I'm getting ready to putt. 3 guys are over here talking.
Right.
I hit my putt. The next guy walks across around me over, 20 feet to the other side of the first guy who putt, and now he's reading his putt. you should be ready to go.
Yeah.
Read your putts. Read your putts beforehand, not after. Everybody has hit their putt. Now it's time for me to look.
Look at the guys on tour.
Yeah.
Watch the guys on tour. Watch what they do. You know,
Yeah. You don't
and
have
yes,
to
they
take
have
the 40
caddies,
Yeah.
but they're not talking to each other. They're not in la la land when they're
Right.
on the green. They're
Well, it's
analyzing.
my turn. Yeah.
Right.
Simple thing that I find is maybe some people don't realize. If my cart, let's say, is parked to the right of the green, and I'm on the green and I brought extra clubs, I don't bring the extra clubs and leave them on the left side of the green. Put them over on the path that's going to take you back to the cart.
Yes.
Because then you don't have to drive back 2 holes later when you're trying to figure out where's your pitching wedge.
Yeah. And I've been guilty of that. I will admit I am very guilty of that. That happens to me, and that's actually a bad habit that I've been trying to break. Is sometimes I'll be at the front of the green and I'll chip it up to a back pin, and I'll leave my wedge there and grab my putter because I'm ready to go and just knock this thing in. Now, thankfully, I'm a fast walker anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But there's some of these guys that are Myrtle the turtle.
Yeah.
And they take their time. I'll just put it that way.
One of the things that we used to do back when you had to pull the flag, and if you're one who does pull the flag, that's fine. Lay your clubs on top of the flag, because what are you going to have to do in order to pick up the flag? Pick up those clubs. You're not going to forget them. Don't cast shadows over somebody else's line.
Oh.
Or over their ball. That's something a lot of people just don't realize anymore.
I don't like shadows at all. I don't even like my own shadow, let alone somebody else's shadow. I have a thing with my own shadow, and people call me crazy for, they're like, what? You don't like playing under your own shadow? I'm like, no. So get your shadow out of here. I don't want to see that.
Don't step within, an inch or two of the hole. Reach. Pick the ball out of the hole. Don't use your club to try to flip the ball out.
Yeah.
Because you end up tearing up the cup, and everybody else gets to suffer as a result of that.
Right.
Because now the hole is disfigured. Another one that, again, if you're by yourself, there's nobody out there. If you want to hit the putt again, great. But the other day, again, we're playing behind a threesome. And I don't know how this worked, because all 3 golfers were probably plus 30 handicappers, and player A and B would hit from one spot, and then player B and C would then play best ball over here. And then the next hole, player C and A would play best ball, and then player B and A would play best ball. And they're walking all over the golf course. Mm. And again, I was playing in a foursome. They were playing in a threesome. We saw them on the 12th tee when we were on 10, and we caught them on 14.
Mm. Yeah, that's not good.
But it's just, re-putting, and that was the thing that they would do the most, is, neither one made the putt, then they'd go and drop a ball and try to hit it again. And then the other guy tried to hit it again. It's like, no, you don't do that when there are people waiting. If there's nobody behind you, fine. But if there's people there, you got to keep moving. Other etiquette things. How do you feel about music on the golf course?
So I was waiting for you to ask me that, because I have my opinion about this one. I like music on the golf course, but at a respectable volume. I've played plenty of rounds of golf with music. But you want to know the other thing about it too? Everybody else in the group was okay with it. As long as everybody in the group is okay with music and it's at a respectable volume, I'm not talking you have to put it at the lowest volume setting. You could still have it loud. You could still have a speaker loud enough to where everyone can hear it and be okay with it, and have the group behind you or anyone else on the golf course not complain about it. And I think that's a new age golf thing. I think that's definitely, like my age range, that's definitely big. And I think that's because of Top Golf and stuff like that. Just getting used to playing with music, and that's just what it is. But like from your era, it's different. Like from your point of view, you have a very different viewpoint on it, and that's completely respectable, and it's understandable, because that's just how it was. And you also didn't have, speakers like we do now back then, where you can just bring it wherever. I mean, you had radios and stuff like that, right. But I mean, I don't think that was a very common thing back in the day to have a radio while you were golfing.
I actually carried a radio if it was a baseball
Did you really?
game on. Yeah, I would listen to the baseball game.
Okay.
but I would hold it up to my ear.
Okay, there you go.
So I was the only one listening.
This will really age both of us. Not that I'm from this age, but I'm young enough to not even know what it was. A Walkman. Walkman,
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, music on the golf course, I personally am not against. I don't think it's the best thing around. I don't think, like, if we're ever playing for something important,
Keep your headphone on.
I don't think I would ever want music in the background. I don't think I would ever want that. But if I'm just playing for fun with my buddies and we're having a good time, and we want to all listen to music, respect the volume, and making sure that everybody is on board.
I'm good with the 10-foot rule. If I'm 10 feet
rule.
away, I shouldn't be vibrating because of your music.
Right.
And I prefer you not drive up behind me as I'm getting ready to hit with
the music. Yeah.
If it's soft and rather than somebody on has it on a scale of 1 to 10, they're playing it at a 9.75, and it's a rap song, and it's just bang 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 bang.
Right.
Or I'm on. Let's see. A couple weeks ago, I'm on the 12th tee. Somebody is playing 17, and I'm asking Bill to repeat himself because I can't hear him over the music that is being played 100 yards away.
Yeah, that's
rude.
That's what I don't like. And those are the kind of people that give music on the golf course a bad rap. Because music on the golf course, it helps me. It helps other people focus. It helps people calm down. Music is therapy to some people. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say that music is terrible and you shouldn't ever listen to it on the golf course. But when it sounds like there's a concert going on in your golf cart and other people on the golf course can hear it, that's a sign that you should probably turn it down a little bit and maybe change your approach on listening to music on the golf course.
Yeah. Just walk 20 feet away from your cart. If you can hear it loud and clear, it's too loud.
Yeah.
Because if you can hear it from 20 feet away, I can probably hear it from 20 yards away.
Right.
And if I'm, again, I don't need to have the music coming at me as I'm standing getting ready to hit a shot. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to look. I'm going to be wondering what's going on. Right. Now I can't focus.
Right.
So how about, let's see. We talked about ready golf, or furthest away is the person who's technically supposed to hit. But if we're not playing in a tournament, as long as I'm not endangering other people.
Let's talk about that third one.
This is one that, which keep the group moving forward.
Knowing the ball you're playing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. A lot of people, I've had this when I was at my shop. A lot of people would ask, what's the number on the ball for? Is a 1 better than a 2? And I, explained to them, all the numbers are there for, and it used to be, when I first started golfing, a lot of golf balls had a colored dot, and that was their identification. I'm playing a green dot, whatever. I'm playing the blue dot, whatever. And that was a way of identifying. We now do it mostly with numbers.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing a Titleist. A Titleist is the overarching company. I'm playing a Pro V1X. I'm playing a DT whatever. I'm playing I need to know that the model of golf ball, not who produced it. Because a lot of people think that yep, there we go. I was being told we were off the internet.
Yeah, you're breaking up for me. We're having some technical difficulties. Yeah, you are. You're just a little blurry, okay. That's all.
So anyway, know the model of golf ball. I'm not playing a Shrixon. I'm playing a, Star or,
the
whatever.
Z-Star. Yeah.
The Z-Star. I'm not playing a Titleist. I'm playing a Pro V1, and I need to know the number.
Right.
Because other people are out there. Or I can make a little mark on my ball, use a marking pen and put a mark there on my ball so I can identify it. But I've had so many people playing 16, somebody's playing 12, and they hit my ball
Right.
because they went way off, left, and they figure, oh, here's my ball. It's a Titleist. No, I'm not playing this cheap Titleist ball. That was my Pro V1 that you just hit into those houses.
Right.
So
Right.
knowing the ball.
I can't tell you how important that is. I can't tell you, because hole number 1 at Colinas is the perfect area if you want your golf ball to get stolen, by the way, FYI.
Yep.
Because there's been so many people that I've had to track down and grab my golf ball from them because they hit it right off the tee on 10, and they end up, and I usually on hole 10, just because I take the right out of play, I usually aim at the left center fairway. And if I draw it, I'm whatever, I'm in between, the fairways. If I fade it, then I'm in the middle of the fairway, right? That's my line every single time. So you have the people who hit it right off of hole number 10, and of course their ball goes in that general area where I usually aim on the first hole, and they think because I play Callaway that, oh, that's my Callaway. No, that was my Callaway, and it was a Chrome Tour, not a Super Soft. I found your Super Soft, and it's much more scuffed up, and been through some things. My golf ball is practically brand new because I just started. This is my first hole, and that was my ball. I've learned to get less frustrated over it after time. The first time it ever happened to me, I remember I was like, that guy stole my ball. He did it on purpose, that guy. And, that's not always the case, of course, but it happens because people don't pay attention to stuff like that. They need to know what kind of ball they're playing and have some sort of marking to know that that's their ball.
Yep. Another just general thing, keep a check on your voice. Playing or putting on 10, somebody's on 17, and I can hear their entire conversation as they're walking from the cart to the green. How far apart are those two holes?
That's
70 yards?
That's a sand wedge.
Yeah, 70 to 100 yards. And they're talking as loud.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
I hear a lot of conversations on that green, to be fair.
Yeah. It's, you need to understand. Oh, by the way, I went to the chiropractor.
Oh, nice.
But keep a check on your voice.
Yep.
Pretend like you've made a putt before. Guy screaming at the top of his lungs because he made a putt. Oh, if that was your first putt you've ever made, okay, I'll give you that one. But I'm going to guess that it's not, and you're not playing for $1 million, and there's still a hole to play, or 2 or 5 or 10.
Yeah.
Keep your voice down. There's nothing more enjoyable than hearing two people 75 yards apart on the golf course yelling back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
Keep the voices down. Yell for
that. This is the one. This is the one right here. This is the one that I've been waiting for this whole episode, and actually, there's a reason for it. And you know the reason already. But my dad got hit by a golf ball yesterday.
Yeah,
he got hit right in the back, and they didn't say 4 until after the fact.
Right, let them know that hey,
guys,
that was a ball that hit you.
Guys, just know when you say 4, it's supposed to be while the ball is in the air tracking towards a person, not when it's either about to hit the person or hits the person.
Right. And it's not, I think it might miss him, so I'm not going to yell. Yeah. I've been hit 11 times on the golf course. I was sharing with Josh. I got hit once in an area that you never want to be hit by a golf ball in. And I wanted to die for 25 minutes. If I have never gotten upset with somebody who yelled 4 and missed me, I appreciate it. I waved to him. Thank you. I appreciate the warning, because that's what it was. It's not FOUR, like it's my 4th shot. It's a forewarning. It's letting me know that I am in danger. I can then cover up. I can, I'm going to protect my melon, and I'm going to probably put my hands behind my neck. I'm going to get into a smaller position. I'm going to move over by the cart if I have time. Whatever I can do to protect myself, because I can tell you, after being hit 11 times, they all hurt. I've had fingers broken finishing my swing, and a ball hits me in the hand as my hand is on the club. And it was a tee shot. And the guy never said a word. I've been hit in the chest off of a tee shot 50 yards away. Now, he might not have had enough time in that case, but I got hit. And I was exactly where I should be. I was putting. You know, when I got hit in the area that I'm not going to describe, I was hitting my second shot, and somebody had waved up. There was a four caddy had waved up the group, but didn't tell us that they had waved up the group. And I was in the middle of my backswing when I hear four. And there's competing fairways. There's 3 fairways running parallel to each other, and I was assuming it was coming from the fairway that would be coming, the ball would be coming at my face because it was coming from where the green I'm going to is, and I turned around to get hit. But you don't, it's not, well, I might miss them, so I don't want to yell. I probably have been nearly hit in the last 2 years 15 times. Not once did somebody yell. From a lawsuit perspective, you don't yell for, you can be held legally responsible for damages because you didn't warn the person. You gotta yell for. If the ball is going towards somebody, yell for. It's that simple. Stay in your fairway. Josh was describing number 1 and 10. We have 2 fairways.
Prime example.
Number 1 goes this way. Number 10 goes this way. And a lot of people from number 10 slice it into number 1's fairway. And they drive their cart there and sit there, waiting for the 10th green to clear.
Yeah.
And where are they? They're at about 220 or so out. And now the group on the tee can't hit. Whether you can clear them or not clear them, they're in the way.
Right.
And they just sit there. Or they'll even go further to the right, and they're in the right-hand rough of number 1, and they'll just park. When I was a kid, the old people would just hit at them.
Right.
You don't go out there and wait. You don't go, you look back, you look and see, is there somebody there's somebody on the tee. I am going to wait for them all to hit. I'm going to put myself in a safe position. And then after they have hit, now you can walk out there. But you don't go out there and wait.
Right.
And, that just, it slows everybody down. And it's, again, rude. It's, I am the most important. Yep. And that's not what golf is about. Golf is about respecting each other.
It's a community.
Yep. So let faster players play through. How do I know if they're faster than I am, Josh?
You'll know. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, because they're waiting.
They're waiting. And sometimes people get super antsy. Not saying this is kind of a rare thing, but people will hit into you. There are people that will hit into you because you're playing too slow. Yeah. And if it ever comes to that, which I hope it doesn't, I don't condone that whatsoever, by the way. Nope. If that ever happens, the best thing to do is if you want to confront them, by all means, but let them play through. There's no group in front of you and you're slowing people down.
Just that was kind of rude.
Yeah. And just, people who are on your tail and you got gaps in front of you.
And that's the key. There's open space in front of you.
Yeah.
If you're waiting on every shot and for the group in front of you to clear, that's a totally different situation.
Or even if you're on pace, even in some courses they have pace of play policies. Like even if you're on pace,
right.
And that's fine. If you're playing under 4 hours or whatever, that's fine. But when you got space in front of you and you're already on the 4 hour mark and you're on like hole 15, you should probably let those guys play through or speed up play or close those gaps. But it's just common courtesy. And I see people, they don't really care about that nowadays. And I'm a big advocate about you can only play as fast as the group in front of you. But when there's gaps and there's gaps, just be courteous and let the people behind you play through. Because you never know.
And it's not that.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not that, okay, a lot of times I'm playing in a 2 or a threesome, and we're faster than a single.
Right.
It doesn't mean that because I'm a threesome, if I'm having to wait on you and there's nobody you're waiting on,
that's a problem.
That tells you you're playing slow.
Yeah.
You need to let us go through, especially like for us in the desert, we're out there. I don't want to, we played today in 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I played in about 3.5 hours.
We
Yeah.
were moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shouldn't take that long out on the golf course. In whether, I played in a foursome the other day and we played in under 3 hours. That shouldn't take that long to play a round of golf.
No.
And especially for us, there's a lot of openings. But if I can do that in the summer, I can play in 3 hours, then most people can be able to play quicker than what they play. And
Yeah.
what happens is somebody starts to slow down, and that slows everybody down.
And some of these people play better when they play faster. And we had, the men's club, for example. There's a couple guys in the men's club that were taking their time, and, that's fine. They're playing for money or whatever. They're playing for something in their mind, so they're taking their time. But, you say something to them, and then you speed them up, and then they come in after a round, they go, well, after you sped us up, I had 3 birdies the next 5 holes. Well, maybe that should tell you something. Sometimes it's not even just solely for letting the people, behind you have peace of mind, or, giving yourself peace of mind now that there's not people on your tail anymore. But it could also help you skill wise. It could also help you play better. You never know. So try it out and see how it works for you.
One of the things that, again, the group that was in front of us playing the whatever kind of thing they were doing, don't bring somebody to a golf course that is beyond their ability level, or don't make them play from the back tees just because that's where you want to play from. There's nothing more that will frustrate golfers more. You have somebody brand new to golf. You're trying to give them lessons every other swing, and they are hitting the ball, on occasion. A lot of times the ball is just rolling 40, 50 yards away from where they were. They're going to start to get self-conscious, and if they're a brand new golfer, they shouldn't be out there, say, at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. You're holding up everybody.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a pleasant experience for anybody, especially the new person. They're not going to feel good about the way things are going. Take them to a course that is appropriate for them. Take them to a par 50, par 54, par 3 golf course. That's where you learn to play golf. You don't learn to play golf at TPC Scottsdale on a Saturday at 9:15.
Right.
When people are out there, and the other day a couple months ago I was out there, and there was a group. There was a foursome. They had 2 bags, and one of the golfers was left-handed. The other golfers were right-handed. So we have 3 people sharing a bag, and every once in a while the girl who was riding with the left-handed girl would try to use the left-handed clubs. Well, she couldn't hit the ball very well right-handed.
Yeah.
And she didn't do any better left-handed. And it's, a Saturday afternoon, about 1 o'clock. You don't bring that person to the golf course at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to do that.
No.
It's not fair to the other people. It was a 4-hour and 50-minute round of golf where we play in 2 hours and 20 minutes without rushing. Other things. If you go into the sand trap, what should you do when you're leaving the sand trap, Josh?
Definitely rake it. Definitely.
Yep.
Be considerate of other people, because there's times where people hit in bunkers and they land in someone's footstep and stuff. And there was when COVID was a thing. I don't know if you remember the role of somebody in somebody's, because people are afraid of touching the bunk with the rakes, whatever. But we're not in that anymore, thankfully.
Nope.
And rakes are back, and they're ready to be used, baby. Everybody go out there and rake your local bunker. No, but when you're done hitting out of a bunker, you should always rake it. And even if there's other people's footprints in them, rake them too. I know it may suck, and you're like, well, those people didn't rake the bunker. Yeah, but be better. Take the higher ground. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. I don't like those people.
And you push the sand forward. You want to push the sand into the trap. You don't want to drag the sand out of the trap.
Yes.
That's a thing that a lot of golfers don't understand. When they're raking the sand, you don't pull it as you're walking up the hill.
Yep.
Because now everybody's ball is going to, instead of rolling to the bottom of the trap, it gets stuck on a side hill lie because there's extra sand there.
Right. Yeah, and there's
Push
actually
the
a
sand.
video out there by Fluff. You know Fluff, the caddy. And
Yep.
he was a caddy for a guy named Tiger Woods at one point. He's okay. Anyway, he has a video out there how to properly rake a bunker, and he does exactly that. And he was out there caddying for a Champions Tour player. Forgot who it was. I think it was.
For Furyk.
I think it was for Furyk, actually. Yeah,
Yep.
it was for Furyk. And he was demonstrating how to properly rake a bunker, and he pushes away. You work against
Right.
it. You push it away from you.
Yep.
And that's how you properly rake a bunker. And I was raking a bunker improper for a long time.
But at least you were raking it.
That's right.
Another thing from from an etiquette standpoint, a lot of times, today Bill was struggling a little bit, and I pointed out what he was doing. Okay, we didn't hit 12 balls to try to cement things down, but you don't give lessons on the golf course.
No.
Don't, and especially what the lessons I love the most is when the 30 handicap or index person is giving the lessons to the 32 index person.
Yep.
And they're telling them you moved your head. If you know enough that you can literally help somebody, one of the things I know enough about the golf swing that I can help most people pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But the thing I have to decide is, first of all, is this something that they can do without having 460 balls hit out in the range to try to perfect that?
Right.
Am I going to tell them about you need to get your elbow pointing more down in your backswing when they're like this? No, because they're not going to be able to do that on the golf course. But on the other hand, if their shoulders are 45 degrees open, I can at least push them back and say, this is probably closer to where you need to be. Now, it's up to them whether they want to try that or not on the golf course, and that will give them a good fix.
Right.
And it's something that most golfers can try to do. But, to change somebody's, complete setup, you should be left-handed, not right-handed. No. Yeah. You don't do that. You don't have them hitting balls, extra balls on the golf course, as if people are waiting behind you, and you don't give lessons on the golf course unless, of course, it's something you can, you're pointing out something that they already know about. And today Bill was coming, from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock with his golf swing on occasion, and it was like, Bill, where did that come from? And he straightened it out the first swing after that.
Right.
Other things, 3 minutes for a lost ball, not 3 days. They don't cost millions. I don't know how many thousands of times I've been willing to throw a ball to them and say, here, use this one. And know about where the ball went. There's nothing more frustrating. Today the rough is a little bit long at Las Colinas and places. We lost a golf ball out there.
Yeah.
We knew about where the ball went.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it in 4-inch Bermuda rough. It sometimes swallows it up, and unless you step on it, you don't find it.
Right.
But, I've watched people, they haven't hit a ball 200 yards. They're 270 yards out looking for where's their golf ball? Well, it's back there, probably 100 yards. I thought I hit it really good. We haven't, keep an eye on it, mark it, find a tree, do something to find, give you an idea where that golf ball went. But again, the rule is 3 minutes for searching.
Yeah.
And then the last one that just drives me nuts is it happens on number 10 sometimes, and it happens on number 4, dredging the pond for golf balls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those guys that have those ball retrievers, they go in there and they start fishing.
I got to get my money's worth out.
Yeah. Yeah.
My ball is 50 yards left of this pond.
By the way,
I might be able to find 12.
By the way, for most people who don't know, those golf balls that get lost, it's not the golf courses, because they have people that go in there and dive for those golf balls. Those are now the golf courses. So you're stealing. Mm-hmm. These people don't realize. So if it's your own ball, sure. But when you're picking 15 and you're poaching them, you're stealing.
Yep.
That's now the golf courses.
We used to, at ADS Golf, when we would do range balls, we would buy 50,000 range balls. And where did they come from?
Pond balls.
A lot of them pond balls from area golf courses, and we were getting top flights. They're pretty much impenetrable by water, and we would stripe them and sell them off to ranges. I've seen people take their shoes off, start walking. Oh, look at this! I found one. I found 10. I found. And to be honest, I also know a guy who ended up with a parasite from diving. He was a diver for golf balls. That was what he did, and he ended up with a parasite. And he had an open wound, and he had his wetsuit on, and somehow something got into that wound, and he lost use of his hand.
Wow.
Because golf courses use a lot of chemicals.
Yeah, they do. And there's also, you got to watch out for those brain-eating amoebas, too.
Yep.
Those things lurk around in water like that, too. So, yeah, definitely. It's not just an etiquette thing. It's a safety concern.
It's a safety, exactly.
You never know what's in those ponds. You never know what they put in those ponds. It's not clean water. It's absolutely disgusting. So the fact that you're even in there, splashing your feet around, it's disgusting. It's gross.
Yep. Yeah. But the thing we want you always to keep in mind, if you're concerned about, am I following the etiquette of golf? Think about the other person. Am I respecting the other person? I'm standing on their line. That's not respecting the other person, because on the green, when you stand there, the ground goes down just slightly, and that makes the ball then start to bounce. If the ball hits your heel print or whatever, they deserve the opportunity to putt with a smooth green.
Right.
On a tee box. Don't start telling I've played behind guys who start telling a story. Every time they walk up to the tee, they stick the tee in the ground, then they have to tell a 2-minute story. There's nobody out in front of them. You're disrespecting the group behind you. You're also disrespecting the people that you're playing with, because they're out there longer than they need to be. Keep moving. I've heard this, I paid for the whole course.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. You didn't cost you a couple $1 million today. What you did is you're buying a space and time,
a commodity,
and you're supposed to stay in that window of time as it moves through the golf course.
Exactly.
And you're supposed to have done that. You're supposed to complete the 18th hole in usually 4 hours or less. And if you're not doing that, now it could be because of other people. They're not respecting your time. Now, again, we don't go ballistic. We don't get our hockey sticks out of our golf bag and go charging after them. But you make comments to the people in the clubhouse. I've made thousands of comments to Las Colinas about, we need a marshal out here, somebody to keep play moving. And the marshal's job is to keep play moving. If you are being talked to by the marshal because you are on your 9th drink and we're on the 6th hole and you can't walk, you shouldn't be out there on the golf course, because you've disrespected everybody by slowing down play. And some of the people at the end of the day out here in Arizona aren't going to get the finish.
Right.
Even though they paid to finish the golf, the price that they were paying, they should have been able to finish the golf course. But because somebody else has decided I'm more important, I want to do my thing. And that's never been golf. You watch old videos of golf, how do the golfers dress? Shirts and ties.
Right.
Always respectful of one another. What do we do at the end of a round, Josh?
Take off your hats.
Cap.
You shake it.
Shake hands.
That's right.
Do you do that in baseball? No, usually not. Do you do that in football? Well, you might take your helmet off eventually and come out and talk to your buddies.
But very rare do you do it every single game.
Right. But in golf, we shake hands.
Mm-hmm.
We start off the round, take off our hat, introduce ourselves. End of the round, take off our hat. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for, a good day. And again, it's all about the other person.
That's right.
If I'm all about the other person and all the other are all about the other person, I got 3 people who are looking after me.
Right.
And I should have a good time. Any other thoughts as we wrap this long edition up?
I think this episode was great. There's been so many issues that I've seen, working in the golf industry. There's things that I see that I get pretty nitpicky about. And there's things that, I'll give people grace about. Like I said, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and I won't even get into those things. But general etiquette as a whole, I think, should be a thing that is taught right from the get-go. first thing when people are getting into golf. You shouldn't even be thinking about touching a club. You should be thinking about etiquette and what to do when you're playing golf. Not playing golf, what to do when you're playing golf. And it's just respect, and it's class. And this game has always been a gentleman's game. It's always been a gentleman's sport.
Yep.
And the reason for that is because of these rules and etiquettes that have been put in place over the 100 plus years that this game has been around. There's reasons for it.
300.
And I think it should be taught to everybody.
As a Christian, there's nothing more frustrating to hearing people swearing that I can hear them 3 holes away.
Yeah.
Just swearing and swearing and swearing. The golf ball did not do it. The golf ball has no brain. You are the reason the ball did what it did. And I don't need to hear about it. You know, when I hit a bad putt, if I'm mad, I yell out, "Rats!" I'm not offending anybody, hopefully, except for maybe the rats.
Yeah.
But, you know, just it's all about, it's supposed to be a good day for everybody out there, not just for you. And it's not based on what you want to have today to make your day the best day ever. It's all of us. We want to have the best day ever.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, Josh, hopefully the temperatures will go down and we'll be able to video someday.
I hope so too. You know, with how long this episode is, we might have to split it up into 2 different episodes. This is great.
Take care. God bless everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for
If
watching.
you have comments or questions, you know where to find us.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to email us. In order for us to continue equipping you with great knowledge and content, consider blessing our show financially by checking out the links in the description below. See you next time on Club Fitting Chronicles.